Right, what's going on, everyone? Let me do one last announcement in Discord, and we'll get this show on the road. Stream is live. Alright, so we put together this workshop to cover our trading suite, our indicator trading suite with Phantom, XABCD scanner, and RBI. And these three put together pretty much complete our trading suite. Here we're looking at some perfect examples on my chart of the ES1, where Phantom script was signaling a sell, and then we saw a bullish XABCD pattern that took out T2 for that short, and then for a secondary rally, pull back to our Phantom midline, and then to the back to the top of Phantom script. Now, what can these indicators do? I'm just going to showcase three quick examples from the last couple of weeks. This was copper, right? We signaled that it was going to turn around because of Phantom and XABCD combined, and boom, target hit. And then the ES1 just prior, this was during Cyber Monday, so like first week of December. That was our short zone, shorts filled, hit T1, T2, and that is that previous move down here, target 1, target 2. And then Ravencoin was another one that I signaled based on both systems combined. Now we're gonna break it down to, we're gonna start with one indicator at a time. So I'm gonna go ahead and clear my entire chart, and we'll start fresh. So I'm just gonna remove all indicators. Let's say you just started, you just signed up, you're trying to put all these together. So you're gonna type backslash and then Phantom, and that's gonna pull up Phantom script. Right, and then the standard setting is 7.6. Usually you don't want to mess around with that. What's going on? Boom. And for the seminar's sake, for the workshop, I'm going to go ahead and just make some of these lines darker. So our top line, we're going to go super thick. Bottom line, super thick. And then the rejections, inner rejections, we're going to mess around with them just a little bit. The rejection head, actually. And let's do... let's keep it on line, perfect, nice and dark. Inner rejection, I'm gonna make that yellow, and we're gonna make that once again a lot darker. All right, just so they're visible. Now you can see the red dots and yellow dots on the chart. Now we get a lot of questions where, hey, it's exiting Phantom, what do I do? That's where one wants to get out of this trade, right? If one's long, get out of that long, because we're going to expect bearish continuation until the chart re-enters Phantom, and we'll switch time frames and I'll show you what it looks like when we switch time frames to capture those re-entries. Same thing on the top side. So if a chart was to break up and continue above Phantom, then it's expected to remain bullish until it re-enters the Phantom zone. Right now we're back in the Phantom zone and it started executing perfectly. Now, charts exiting Phantom. What's going on? Let's go look at a smaller time frame. We're looking at the 30, right? And once again, charts exiting, right? No trade zone. Here we see rejection, so that would have been a short, that would have been a long for continuation. And here, once again, right, so we're gonna get that long entry, that short, that long exit of Phantom, right? No trade zone, fill short, target 1, fill short, target 1, fill short, target 1, fill short, target 1, fill short, get stopped out. This would have been a good long signal, right? Target 1, target 2, and so forth. Now, let's go to an asset that a lot more of us trade, something like Bitcoin. So I'm going to move over to XBT USD. And here on the 30-minute, we had some fairly good signals, right? This was a pretty good short. This was an exit, so one would close out of this trade and take up short back here. Long, we had failed to rally, so this would have been a hedge, right? So open short, open a short from up here, and then hedge with a long and see what happens. At this point, the short stop would be here. And once the chart breaks down further, stops this long out, then we had a long broke out. That was target 1. This was target 2. Head short because we're failing to rally above, right? We're getting rejection at midlines and breaks back down. Buy signals, target 1, target 2. And then here we're getting, once again, rejection at the midlines, right? So it means the trend's turning bearish. When we get this bullish type of rejection on a phantom script midline. All right, we're going to expect the rally to continue up until it starts closing and rejecting at the next midline zone. Now, back in the re-entering the phantom cloud, right, in a phantom script, here we had a phantom exit, and the chart tried to rally back in. No luck on the 30. Came back down. This would have been an exit or take profit or increase stop loss if you're looking for another long. And then the chart re-entered phantom, and now we're expecting it to fill 69.79 before it goes back up target 1, target 2. And just because we are actually in a weekend, there's a CME gap at play. I'll go ahead and highlight this. I'm just going to put this indicator now real quick, the gravity one. Let us know where the CME gap is. CME gap's at 72.66, right? So one would probably want to find long entries towards that gap, just like the previous gap fell. Now, larger time frames on phantom, they work just as well, right? So we're going to remove drawing tools, and here we had, once again, phantom exit, right? No trade zone. A lot of positions built up here for no reason, and then once the chart re-entered phantom, we had a bearish rejection off the midline, came down, right? Phantom said long, target 1, target 2 was hit, and what happened afterwards? That upper boundary came down, right? Upper boundary on phantom came down, so we had some sell signals, and target 1, target 2, target 3 fell long. And just the other day, past few days, we saw some support at this midline, and it made me want to long, and I got stopped out. So now I'm looking for another re-entry down here on this the lower boundary. You can see I have alerts set on TradingView. All right. Do you have any questions about phantom script, how it works, before I add our XABCD scanner? I take it, no questions. I'm going to go ahead and start adding the scanner. So the scanner, it works like a scanner. XABCD formations are the 5-point formations. There's the Gartley, there's the butterfly, there's the wolf, there's like 10 or 11 formations. Our scanner picks up 10 of them. And the way PineScript is coded, right, you want to be, the indicator has to scan a certain amount of bars to find these formations. So whenever we're using the scanner, if we just apply it once with one setting, I'm going to turn off phantom. If you just apply it once with one setting, we're not going to get all the possible formations and combinations and possibilities, right? So we want to apply this scanner several times. So we're going to do XABCD, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to apply it 4 times. All right, I'm going to do a 9. I'm going to go into inputs. To change your settings, you click on the little gearbox right there, and you're going to do a, let's do a 13. Let's do a 23. And let's do a 36, right? And once you open these gearboxes out, you're going to have a show incomplete, and you definitely want to have that setting on, because an incomplete formation is going to be like one of these dashed formations, right? Where that's where you want to look for the reversal on the script, right? So where these ABCD patterns end, XABCD patterns end, that's where going to be possible reversal zones, right? And same thing on the upside. Now here we see several that played out on the, this is the 4-hour time frame on Bitcoin, right? This was a 4-point. Actually, this was more than just a 4-point. Let me get rid of that. So you got a 786, and usually when a pattern completes, you're gonna, if we're just using this standalone, right? You want to do a fib extension from C to D, and there are targets in our PDF. Usually you're gonna have 50% target, 78, 10% target, 1.2, 1.4, and so forth. So what this indicator is going to allow us to do, you're going to trade, you're going to be able to trade a lot of harmonic patterns, right? So the Gartley, the bat, 10 patterns. Now when we combine this with Phantom Script, we get a really powerful combination. It's a trading suite. So here we see this 4-point that's ending at the midline, right? So it's definitely a hedge, a short, take a short. Let's go ahead and go into a smaller time frame to see more of these patterns, like the 30-minute here, right? So our XABCDs kind of didn't pick up a top there, but Phantom did. And on the way down, we had, I remember this, we actually traded this long because we had several formations. Even if we zoom in, if we look at just in here, even though Phantom had said long, right, we had a bearish 4-point which signaled a top, right? It's really dangerous to ignore some of these formations. So it's like, right, so that's a bearish 4-point, right? We got A, B, C, D, and D ends over here, and now that would be a bearish move back down. And as this bearish move came back down, let's get rid of this 4-point, and we have our 0.272, and we had two bottom signals, right, on the 30. This was also a bottom on the 4-hour chart, and we had one ABCD pattern complete, another one complete, and we had a phantom buy signal that went up to Phantom's T1, straight through it up to T2, and it came back down. Phantom signaled another buy, and here we had a T1 and a T2. We had an ABCD, that's a 4-point, right? That was bearish, and that was the top of that run. Another ABCD down here. Let's get rid of this bigger one, right? Another ABCD down here that went up, right? Back to Phantom. Another bearish one. So you're going to be able to find a lot of moves. Do you want to trade all of them? It just depends on how many trades you want to enter a week. If you're trying to like trade the 30-minute chart religiously, you can do that. If you're trying to be a swing trader, depends on your trading style and your trading habits and what you're looking to do out of the market. Now, a chart that really likes to play along is actually Ether, and I think so 120. Oof, it's a little messy. Let's go back to, let's do a 240. And once again, these work on a lot of time frames, right? Several time frames. So looking over here, right? This, once again, some more good execution where Ether re-entered Phantom, right? And looking at the chart over here after this breakout, it didn't rally all the way up to the fill, but we did have a bearish 4-point along with a bearish midline, and that was a breakdown, right? Once again, it entered here. One would have filled a short on this 0.80, right? 0.080 formation back down to from 240 down to the buy zone, which was at like 184. Almost touched the midline, it didn't, but down here that would have been a lot of bearish rejection. So we're coming back down and so forth. Let's go ahead and look back at XBT USD, and I want to add our oscillator. You guys have questions on our XABCD scanner? This is your time to ask questions and get them answered in real time, guys. If you're getting a lot of 4-point formations, you can go back into the setting gearbox and turn off your 4 points. And if you just don't want to trade ABCDs, and stick to the larger patterns, right? But the ABCDs tend to be very very prominent. You'll see them more often than not, and they will end a lot of moves. Now, one thing we did to really complete this indicator suite was release the relative breadth index, which is the RBI. I'm going to go ahead and apply that on this chart, and you type in relative breadth index. And what the RBI is going to do, it's a momentum oscillator, right? But it's a lot more than a momentum oscillator, and it's actually very, very powerful, especially when it comes to combining it with some of our other systems, right? So we're looking for divergences. We're looking for these rectangles, right? I'm going to just double click on here. So the rectangles are going to pretty much be a warning, right? This is a warning that there is some kind of discrepancy, a divergence that's about to take place, it's about to happen, and it might be a good time to hedge. That's what the rectangles do on the upside and the downside, right? So, and the longer the rectangle, the more prominent that divergence is. You're also going to see these green dots. These are going to be weak buy signals. Don't ever enter just because you see a green buy signal, and I'll show you when they actually really count and provide amazing entries. And then there's also going to be triangles. I don't see any right now, but oh, here we see some triangles, and the triangles are going to be stronger buy signals, right? But you also want to make sure the chart, something else on the chart is letting you know that this buy is valid. And these are all relative to our signal line, right? The signal line is the white line. There's also two other lines, which are a KD, just like on a stochastic. Before I dive into those, we're going to talk about the little, you guys should see them, they're like cyan areas. And on our signal line, and the cyan areas are going to signal that we're going to experience a turn, a short-term move in the trend. Now the KD lines, let's go in our settings gearbox, and let's make these guys thicker so they're more visible. The KD lines are going to identify your trend, right? And you also want to look for divergences on K and D. Typically when KD are going up, the trend is bullish. When KD are coming down, the trend is bearish. You're going to be able to also use them for divergences. Let's get out of the full zoom mode, right? So here we did see these two buy signals. We did have a phantom exit, right? The chart was not in phantom, but we did get these extreme buys, right, according to RBI. And we also had entanglement, and I'll talk about this. This is actually a really intricate indicator. It's pretty awesome. Here we did have a buy signal that went bad, but then the chart corrected, saying, hey, momentum's getting shot down at like halfway through. So that would have been a good time to exit. We also had one of these sell signals. And not only that, but K and D weren't quite confirming bullish. They were still in a bearish mode. They were both coming down. So it's not a really good, strong buy signal. If you look a little further, this is if somebody's using it as a standalone indicator, right? Here we did have a KD cross, and upon having the cross, we had a buy signal followed by divergence, right? So that is something that's critical, right? This is something that's very much tradable. If you're looking at like an RSI, this would be a hidden bullish divergence here, where we had a lower low after a buy signal, so it's definitely a liquidity grab. And then the chart went up. Our divergence indicator was saying, hey, this is not looking healthy, it is divergent. And if we look at the previous high, which was way higher, right, the chart was still correcting, right? So that would have been an exit. And then we had another higher high. And if one was actually just waiting this one out, trading according to Phantom, this would have been like a remain short since the last breakdown. until the chart re-entered the script. Now here we've got something a lot more interesting, right? Where we Phantom saying head short, or we go and break him back down, and then we saw this support, and we had a another divergence plus a buy signal. Now these will actually come in really handy because we'll see them when we get double, triple confirmations. Where here RBI saying sell, then the chart fills in shorts, right? Phantom saying fill shorts, hedge, hedge, hedge. And here we see RBI taking a dive, right? Momentum's breaking down. As it's breaking down, we see the first bounce. RBI said buy, right? So we're going to look for the second, the third, and the smaller time frame, right? We did have some buys fill once I had, where were we? Right, so when we go in a smaller time frame, we had pretty good execution where Phantom and RBI were in confluence. Right, and we did take out like this swing low, right? This swing low was a 4-point pattern, and this one would have been visible. So here we had a pattern complete. We had an RBI signal, and the chart rallied to T1, didn't quite make T2. Chart came back down on the larger time frame, going back. This was 2 buy signals, RBI saying buy, and then we had an RBI, we had a cross. Go ahead and turn these off and talk about KD crossovers, and especially on larger time frames. So when we see a KD cross, right, the green line crossing above the red line, that's going to signify a trend shift. And when we see a pullback with the signal line and price back to the KD lines, and then we get these blue cyan flips on our signal line, that's going to signal that, hey, this trend is going to continue up for now, right, until we get this secondary bearish cross. When the cross happens, then you kind of want to remain short until we get another bullish cross. Now, how strong is this? If we use it on a daily chart just to detect long-term price reversals, let's take a look over here, right? We had our bullish cross, and then we had our signal line pull back to KD, and then we saw this blue zone, right? It was blue for several days, and that pretty much signaled that, hey, momentum is coming into the chart, right? So when we see RBI entanglement where the signal line is really close to the KD line, and the KD line is bullish, or they're flipping bearish, that's where momentum is coming into the asset, and it's going to rally whichever way the flip is on RBI. And here we see the same thing to the top side, right? So this Bitcoin top was actually signaled by RBI too, where we saw KD coming together, right, coming close into a bearish cross, and our signal line failed to go any higher. And once that was the actual top, and then the trend flipped bearish, and here our signal line would actually turn and signal blue on almost every top. Here on this strong bounce, right, on this, I think this was the China pump, right? This was China pump. We did see that KD entanglement. Signal line was right entangling with the KD with actually K, which is saying, hey, there's an upswing coming. And if you're looking for like long-term momentum on your chart, auto, I stretched it out too much. Here we go. If we're looking for long-term reversals, long-term momentum, this indicator is great. So if we're looking at like the SPY, something that's been bullish for a while and just keeps faking everybody out, keeps faking all the bears out, you're going to get these really strong signals on a daily chart based on RBI, right? You're going to get these good bottoms, these good divergence signals, even up here, talking about KD divergences, we did have a signal here to sell this top, right? Because we had a KD flip, we also had a KD divergence, right? If you're looking at like a stochastic or an RSI, this was a divergence. That's what makes this breadth indicator actually work, because there's 3 elements to it. So that would have been a head short, exit the market, take profit, right? This would have been another opportunity to do so. This blue zone, chop down, right? And here we see an actual buy signal. Let's zoom in. This is a buy signal, and on the chart, right? So this was down here. And what happened with KD, right? We had the signal line reject off K, so momentum was still bearish, came back down. This is practically choppy. You want to wait for like the next buy signal, the strong buy signal, whenever the chart's crashing, right? Or a divergence. We did not quite have a divergence here. There's actually a bit of a bearish divergence, right? We had a higher high. We had a lower high in terms of momentum. The chart came back down. This was a pretty good strong buy signal. Imagine buying 234 on the S&P, right? Like that. And that was just December 2018. That was a year ago, right? This is actually Christmas Eve. If you would have bought this, longed it, and just sat on it, that would have been a great entry. And whenever K and D are up in the up zone, whenever they are above the middle and getting up towards the top, right, and they stay up there, it means the trend is expecting to remain bullish, right, until we start seeing these sell signals right at KD entanglement, right? This means the chart's coming down, it's going to correct, right? And here we see a bit of a divergence, not quite a divergence. This one was divergent though, right? So we see lower low on the signal line, and we see a higher low on the chart, right? And what happened? Rally continuation. And now we're going to see some more friction with the KD. If we get a sell signal below, that means, hey, it's time to head short for a correction. So not only is this going to enable you to find those big swing tops as a standalone indicator, it's also going to find these really good buy the dip entries on a bullish trend. And when the trend is parabolic, you'll be able to identify that with RBI, right? Because here we see KD go so bullish, right? And they remain overbought for the entirety of 2016 all the way up to December 2017. And when you see a parabolic trend, something like this, we'll go over another one. When we see this type of parabolic trend, this is a confirmation of parabolic. Right now, Bitcoin is nowhere near parabolic. It would be doing this if it was, right? Momentum would be through the roof. And it's not doing that. It's actually like correcting back down. So until we see a KD cross and then another bounce off of it, it's not ready to shoot up. So we're going to be choppy for some time. That being said, whenever you do have a parabolic trend, right, it is in your best interest to find these divergences on KD, right? These divergences on the signal line, and these buy signals, right? This would be a buy because K and D are so far up, right? They're kind of coming down, but they're still in that overbought territory. So the trend is still strong. So that would allow you 1, 2, 3, 4. Even this bottom was a bottom, right? We signaled divergence here. A sell signal. This is when momentum flipped, right? They're both coming down. We see the K not trying to cross over, but failing. And also, right here, back in when that crash started, right? If you had this indicator and you see the spread, you wouldn't have held on a long down here at 52, right? There's no reason for that. There wasn't even a buy signal until the next leg down, which was 36. So I think Shopify gave us a really good entry the other day. Once again, right? So trend was bullish. It was up. It was high. We did have the sell signal. Some of the guys shorted, and then we decided a long back here based on Phantom. Let's do a 240. I think we were back here, right? When we did see this retest, some of the guys were like, hey, do we short? I'm like, no. This thing's going higher. We've seen a bullish rejection. Some of our guys turned like $200 and a $4,000, $400 and a $2,000 trading calls on Shopify. Back to the daily chart. Phantom's not going to be your best friend on a daily chart. You want to look for a 4-hour or less, right? Some of these smaller time frames. But you're able to find these divergences, these oversold territories, right? Where you're getting these buy signals and KD are sideways, right? This would have been a buy, right? So if somebody's in a short, this is a good time to get out. And that's what RBI enables you to do. It's going to enable you to find these really good sells, right? Or I guess take profits, short sells, and once again, entries back into the trade. As long as K and D are sideways and not really like coming down at a steep angle like they did on Litecoin. So let's do like LTC USD. Right, as soon as we had that cross, they did not remain overbought for a long time. So the guys that were still holding Litecoin here at like $101, right, that was a really good exit. There's no reason. Now we're starting to see entanglement again, but it's not quite ready. We'll know it's ready when we get across some of these strong buy signals, right, with signal line remaining above and a KD cross. So you're able to identify these big, large swings, but before the chart actually rallies really hard. So let's go, let's do like XABCD. I'll do 2 more examples of RBI and I'll take any questions. This was Zeke, right? We had a buy signal on entanglement. This was a crossover. Here we're seeing a rising wedge, so you kind of want to get out or at least reduce risk on this trade. Looking at like ETH BTC, take a look at this entry, right? We had a KD cross, and then we had a buy signal, right, with RBI entanglement for that big rally. And once again, here we had another buy signal, a sell signal, and so forth. Spencer, is it good on low time frames? I think it is. So here we see a divergence, right? So once again, you want to look at divergent tops, divergent bottoms, especially on low time frames. Here, this was a sell signal. What happened? Right, we had the second lower, we had a lower high on RBI, we had a higher high on the chart. That's a divergence. If one didn't sell here, that would have been the last opportunity to sell, right? The chart, what happened to the chart? It failed to close above, and then we had a KD cross. It came back down. That was a buy signal. Secondary, third, and here we're seeing a sell signal at that top. It actually works really well on small time frames. How much? What are you scalping? What time frames, Christopher? So if you look at if we look for the KD cross before we enter the chart, right? And then we look for the signal bounce above, right? So this close up here would have been an entry. We could have taken profit here, hop back in, taking profit there, hop back in, taking profit. That's a strong sell. And then the chart kind of came back down. And now you're going to see what happens. It looks like a little bit of an intraday bull flag, but let me look at Zen. Oh, yeah, I mean, that's RBI signaled to sell. On pretty much this candle. Let's go to a 4 hour. The 4 hour is not ready to exit. The 4 hour is not ready for an exit. It's actually above phantom, right? So when you get a chart that's above phantom and RBI is going back up, what did I say about KD being up and still headed up? I don't think it's quite ready, man. I think it's gonna go to like phantom midline. That's a really strong round bottom. This was a good bounce. Right? Somebody would have been like, oh, it's gonna dump, it's gonna dump. But then they see RBI turning blue on this bull flag type setup. Phantom on the dailies just now signaling buy. Let me try a 12 hour. Look at that, right? So if you were trading Zen with just Phantom and RBI, then you had pretty good long, right? Pretty good short. A decent long entry here based on mid lines for this rally. Target 1, target 2. The daily chart's still looking like it's got some steam. Let me try the Bittrex chart. It's just there should be a lot more data. Yeah, I mean this was the early buy signal here, and that's what I'm looking at. That's why I signaled QSP yesterday. That's just based on RBI. Now we're getting this shoot off. Kind of like, let's look at QSP's daily on RBI. Right, that would have been the long. This would have been a secondary long. It hasn't done what Zena's does, but it's going. It's doing pretty well. You guys got any? Let's look at some more tokens in RBI since there's some that are popping off and some that are selling off. So let's see what we can identify. You guys hit me with some charts, and we'll use like the last 10 minutes to do that. ZRX had popped off. You guys on Facebook are being super quiet. SPY. I just done that. So the SPY is doing something very interesting. It's doing some entanglement for a possible correction, right? I would look to see what happens. You should be able to see that. You see where my cursor is? I'm going to just remove drawing tools. I'm looking for, I'll go and pull the ES1 futures because there's two things that I'm paying attention to on the S&P. I'm actually starting to scale into VIX calls. So it's really done well on Phantom's 2-hour chart, like the 120. And we did have an early sell, and now we're going to see what happens here. And if we use our scanner, right, there's a D.618 that's going to finish at 31.16. So if that reminds me of anything, it reminds me of my S&P call like just a month ago, right, where I said the chart was going to rally up some, right, 31.60. That was my top of the range before it breaks back down for a liquidity grab. And I'm seeing something very similar develop here. So we might wake up, right, a little bit more of a bull trap before it corrects a little. Now on the daily, it's way above Phantom, right? Somewhat of a shooting star. But let's stick to these strategies. Look at that perfect execution over here. Short, right? We had XABCD scanner say short, right? We had Phantom say short, and we had the RBI entanglement with a rejection of the signal line below K. 3 short signals. What did the chart do? Came back down. What held it up? Our phantom midlines. Same thing over here. Right? Chart came down. Phantom midline held it. RBI said it's a buy. 2 signals. That's a pretty strong indication, right? Same thing with these pullbacks, right? We see some cyan, and signals above RBI. This dip, don't buy it till we get a strong signal. This dip, we had a divergence, and we had Phantom saying remain or take profit or hedge long. Another rejection, RBI divergence, price divergence. I'm still waiting for charts, guys. You guys didn't show me some more charts. It's really clean. It's super nasty. And then now on the S&P, I want to see one of these red dots. So I go like all in on the VIX and make me some, a Christmas present to myself. All right, fam, if you guys don't have any more charts to show me, I'm gonna wrap it up. Or any questions about the indicator suite? I'm probably gonna start streaming a lot more now that we have our system set, and yeah, I'll be streaming quite a bit more. Now look at this nasty divergence here, right? What happened on the chart? Higher high, didn't quite hit Phantom, but we got that early sell signal from RBI. We got a divergence. Look at that nasty rejection on entanglement, a secondary one for that last bit of hope. And then boom, target 1, chop, chop, chop. Back to the ES futures. Phantom said buy. 3 buys. And then we had our buy signal here as well on RBI. Steven Belts. Pleasure, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. This will be in Discord. It'll be cataloged. You'll be able to watch it, get a replay. You guys know I'm here for chart support. I'm here for you. So tag me if you need anything. If you're not on Discord, join Discord. Did you go over ETH? Posted a chart 160 script. Thing is still going to play out. Let me go over ETH USD. The E30 on Phantom, right? It's not really playing along with Phantom right now, not on the 30. I think the 15 is, right? It's currently in the buy zone on the 15. There's a bit of a bearish 786. Once again, guys, right? So here we're seeing bullish 886. It's a butterfly, right? So we're seeing, actually, it's a bat. Sorry, it's a bullish bat. What happened? Phantom midline held it with a buy signal, went up, and here we had a bit of a divergence, a secondary divergence, which is like a double top, really. But then the trend flipped, right, as we're seeing this bearish rejection, so it broke back down, and now we're seeing it wanting to fill longs. We're about to see a KD flip. Yeah, I do think we're gonna hit 143, possibly 147, right? I mean, I would be looking for these shorter range targets on Phantom before going up to 160. Thank you, Mark. Guys, thank you all for all your kind words. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for your patience, right? We're only going to try to improve from here, right? So you got V2 of Phantom coming, you got V2 of XABCD. Mainly XABCD, V2 is going to come out first. It's going to show you the PRZ, right? And the targets. That's what's next. That's what's coming next. But for now, if you're combining these 3 systems together, you should be in the clear. I'll go ahead and add a link in the description so you can get a 5-day trial if you're not on the trial or if you don't have our indicator suite. And yeah, look forward to catching up with you guys in Discord. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and yeah, trade safe.